You wake up in ancient Rome. It's 117 AD. Rome is the biggest city on Earth. About 1 million people are packed into a city roughly 13 square kilometres wide. The streets are loud. The air smells terrible. And somewhere outside your window, someone is already arguing. You don't have time to wonder why. Because you have one job today: survive. You are not a senator. You are not a general. You are not rich. You're an ordinary freedman trying to get through another day. And in Rome, one wrong move could be enough to ruin your life. Wrong street, wrong person, wrong word, wrong decision. You're finished. And forget everything you've seen in movies. This isn't the Rome of perfect white marble, dramatic speeches and clean streets. The real Rome is crowded, dangerous, filthy, and governed by rules nobody bothered to write down. Your clothes tell people your social rank. Your address can tell people how much you're worth. Your religion can potentially get you into trouble. And if the building above you collapses, you could lose everything. So let's go back nearly 1,900 years and try not to die. 6 a.m. you wake up. You open your eyes, you're on the 5th floor of an apartment building called an insula. And before you even get out of bed, you already know something is wrong. You can smell it, smoke from the bakeries below, rotting food from the street, and urine from the chamber pot sitting in the corner of your room. Your entire room is tiny. One bed, one table, one clay cup, one oil lamp, wooden shutters instead of glass, and absolutely no running water. If you want water, you're walking 4 flights of stairs to the nearest public fountain. Need a toilet? You don't have one. That's what the chamber pot is for. And when it's full, you're supposed to open the window, shout a warning, and empty it into the street. Yes, that's actually the system. And if you hit someone, you could owe them compensation. So your first lesson of the day is simple. Look up, because the thing above you might kill you. Your building is another problem. These insulae are built quickly and cheaply. Wood, thin walls, multiple floors, too much weight, and not enough safety. Buildings collapse. If yours comes down tonight, the owner loses a building. You lose your life. And there aren't building inspectors waiting to save you. You are a freedman. You were once enslaved, but you're legally free now. You can own property. You can run a business. You have certain legal rights. But everyone still knows where you came from. You can't vote. You can't hold public office. And socially, you're still below many Roman citizens. You can feel that difference every time someone looks at you. You step outside, and Rome is already awake. Carts are arguing with pedestrians. Vendors are screaming prices. A teacher is shouting grammar lessons in the street because he can't afford a classroom. Nobody waits for you. Rome has already started, and you're hungry, so you need breakfast. But even buying breakfast comes with rules. 7 a.m. Your breakfast. You grab a piece of warm bread from the bakery downstairs. You pay with a small copper coin. Then you head toward the Forum Boarium, the cattle market, because that's where you work. You run a small thermopolium, basically an ancient Roman fast food counter. It's built into someone else's building. Your counter is made of stone. Terracotta pots are sunk into it. And inside them, hot food, lentils, chickpeas, herbs, wine mixed with water. It's cheap, it's filling, and people know you. You've been running this place for 3 years. But the building isn't yours. A citizen named Marcus owns it. Every month you pay him rent. On time. every single time. Because in Rome, rent isn't just rent, it's survival. You also have a patron, and you don't really get to choose whether you want one. As a freedman, your relationship with a powerful citizen can protect you. Your patron can speak for you in court, vouch for you, help you when things go wrong. But there is a price. You owe him loyalty. You show up when he calls. You do favours. And above all, you don't embarrass him. Miss your rent? You could lose your business, fail your obligations. You could lose your protection. Now you're alone. And being alone in Rome is dangerous. You even have written contracts for your debts, business arrangements, and property. Everything gets recorded. Everything leaves a trail. Then, halfway through your morning, a soldier walks up to your counter. He orders wine. He drinks it and puts down less money than he owes. You look at the coins. Then you look at him. He looks back. You have two choices: argue or survive. You smile. You take the smaller payment and let him leave. That's not weakness. That's Rome, reminding you where you stand. 10 a.m., the Forum. Now you have a delivery to make. So you walk toward the Forum Romanum, and the moment you enter, you're hit by the noise. Thousands of conversations, vendors shouting, lawyers arguing, merchants negotiating, sandals scraping against stone. People from almost every corner of the empire are here. Syrians, Egyptians, Gauls, merchants speaking Greek, Aramaic, Punic, Latin. Rome is enormous. And you know the first rule: keep your head down, because everyone here can read social status. Look at the men wearing the purple striped togas. They're senators. That purple stripe isn't just fashion. It's a legal symbol of rank. Wear the wrong clothing, you could be committing a crime. You walk past money changers, Syrian coins, Egyptian money, Roman denarii. You see Egyptian linen, Spanish olive oil, Syrian glass, silk travelling from the east. Rome has pulled the entire world into one marketplace. Then you see something else, a gilded column, the Miliarium Aureum, the golden milestone. This is considered the centre from which distances across the empire are measured. Britain, Egypt, Mesopotamia, all of it connects back to this place. You're standing at the centre of the known world, and you're carrying a pot of lentil stew. You make your delivery, collect your payment, and start walking back. Then you stop, because against the wall of a temple there's an auction. Men and women are standing on a platform. People are examining them, bidding, negotiating, and nobody around you reacts. Because in Rome, this is normal. You keep walking, but you can't stop thinking about it. 1 p.m., the Colosseum. Someone invited you to the games, so you go. Your ticket costs almost nothing, a tiny coin called a quadrans. The emperor pays for the rest. You enter the Colosseum, and immediately you understand something. Your seat tells everyone who you are. Senators are closest to the arena, then equestrians, then ordinary citizens, then freedmen like you. Women and slaves are pushed toward the highest sections, 50,000 people, and every person knows exactly where they belong. The morning show begins, and you can't believe what you're seeing. The arena has been transformed into a forest. Real trees, animals, hunters, music. It almost looks like theatre. Then midday arrives, and everything changes. The forest disappears. The executions begin. Condemned criminals, prisoners of war, people who lost their legal protection. You watch. And suddenly the Colosseum doesn't feel like entertainment anymore. It feels like a message. Rome is showing 50,000 people what happens when you lose. Then the gladiators arrive. But here's something you didn't expect. Not every gladiator is simply a slave forced into combat. Some are free men. They sign contracts. They fight for money, for fame, for status. They're trained. They're fed carefully. Their injuries are treated because a skilled gladiator is valuable. Rome doesn't want to waste valuable assets. Most fights don't necessarily end with someone dying. But that's not what scares you. What scares you is the crowd, because you're surrounded by thousands of people, and some of them are powerful. Cheer for the wrong fighter, react the wrong way, draw attention to yourself, and suddenly someone important remembers your face. You leave as the sun goes down. Your ears are ringing. Your stomach feels strange. You still can't decide whether what you watched was sport, religion, or politics. Then you realize something. In Rome, it was all three. 5 p.m. The baths. You were supposed to visit the baths tomorrow, but today you decide to go. You enter the baths of Trajan. And for a moment, Rome feels almost civilized. Huge pools, steam rooms, gardens, exercise yards, libraries, lecture halls, hot water, cold water, all for an incredibly small entrance fee. But there's a system. You don't just walk around randomly. You exercise first, then the warm room, then the hot room, then the cold plunge. And the hot room. The floor is almost too hot to stand on, because underneath it is the hypocaust, a Roman heating system that sends hot air beneath the floor and through the walls. They're not simply heating the room, they're heating the building itself. And the water? Rome has aqueducts. 11 of them are supplying the city. Water is transported for enormous distances using gravity. No modern pumps, no electricity, just carefully engineered channels with incredibly precise gradients. You look around. Everyone is naked. And that isn't unusual here. The baths are where people do business, where politicians meet, where soldiers show their scars, where information spreads. And that's the dangerous part, because everyone is talking. And if you say the wrong thing to the wrong person, your life can change. You leave feeling cleaner, relaxed, but also a little more careful, because apparently even the bathhouse has ears. 8 p.m., the gods. Tonight, your friend invites you somewhere, underground. He doesn't explain much. That alone should probably scare you. But you go anyway. First, you think about Roman religion. It's different from what you might expect. The Romans often treated their relationship with the gods almost like a contract. I give so that you may give. You offer something. The gods give something back. That's the idea behind do ut des. You even watched a public sacrifice earlier. A carefully selected white bull, every detail inspected, then a specialist examines its liver, the shape, the colour, the condition. If something looks wrong, the Romans could interpret it as a sign that the gods weren't satisfied. Imagine delaying an important military campaign because someone didn't like what they saw in a liver. That's Rome. At home, religion is quieter. You have a small shrine dedicated to the lares, protective spirits of your household. Small offerings are made regularly. It's part of everyday life. Then you follow your friend underground. You enter a hidden room. It's long, dark. It feels like a cave. Stone benches line both sides. And at the far end is an image of Mithras killing a bull. This is a Mithraeum, a private religious space. The men around you participate in rituals. They eat together. They chant. There are stages of initiation, and unlike the public sacrifice, this feels personal, chosen, secret. But that secrecy is also dangerous. Rome can tolerate different religions. until suddenly it doesn't. One accusation, one suspicion of conspiracy, one claim that you're practicing something dangerous, and suddenly a private gathering can become a criminal case. You leave just before midnight and return to the surface. Then you realize you still have to get home. 12 a.m. Rome after dark. There are no street lights, none. The Rome you knew during the day is gone. At night, the city changes completely. Wealthy Romans don't usually walk alone. They travel with groups. Enslaved people carry torches. You have none of that. You're alone. And the streets are dark. Then you hear it. Clank, a cart, another one, and another. During the day, carts are restricted because they make the streets impossible to navigate. At night, they come out. Iron wheels scrape against stone. Oxen push through the streets. Drivers don't care who is standing in their way. And then there's fire. That's what Rome really fears. The city is packed with wooden structures. Oil lamps are burning. People are sleeping. One accident can become a disaster. Rome has already experienced massive fires. The vigiles patrol the streets with buckets, axes and equipment designed to fight fires. But they're not necessarily there to protect you from every criminal. If someone robs you tonight, you may be on your own. You keep walking. Then you notice writing scratched into the wall. Someone's name, someone's love, someone's insult, someone's political message. Someone simply wanted to leave proof that they existed. You finally reach your building. You climb 4 flights of stairs. In the dark, one hand against the wall. You open the door, get inside, and bolt it. You hear someone singing above you. 2 people arguing below. The carts are still moving outside. The city is still awake. But you're alive. You survived one day in ancient Rome. What you just survived. Think about that. You woke up in a building that could collapse. You worked under a system of patronage. You avoided conflict with a soldier. You walked through the center of the empire. You watched people being sold at an auction. You sat inside the Colosseum. You witnessed executions. You visited one of the greatest bath complexes in the ancient world. You entered a private religious gathering. And then you walked home through a city with almost no lighting. And somehow, you made it. That's what life in Rome was really like. Not the clean marble version, not the movie version. The real version. A city where fresh bread and open sewage could exist on the same street. Where the smallest coin could buy you food. But a building collapse could take everything away before dinner. And somehow, despite all of this, Rome worked. 1 million people, different languages, different religions, different cultures, different social classes. Yet the city kept moving. Water travelled through aqueducts. Grain arrived from Egypt. Merchants crossed continents. Roads connected distant provinces. Contracts regulated businesses. Laws governed millions. And all of it operated inside one enormous machine. But the machine had a terrible cost. Slavery helped keep it running. Violence was entertainment. And the difference between a senator living in luxury and a freedman living on the 5th floor of an insula wasn't simply a difference in wealth. They were living almost completely different lives. Rome was extraordinary. But it was not a good place for everyone. And eventually, the machine stopped working. In 410 AD, the Visigoth general Alaric entered Rome. The city was sacked. The forum you walked through no longer looked the same. Aqueducts stopped supplying parts of the city. Buildings were stripped for materials. The Colosseum itself was eventually stripped of stone for other construction, and the Western Roman Empire eventually disappeared. But here's the strange part. Rome itself never completely disappeared. Its concrete survived, its roads survived, its legal ideas survived. Words like Senate, Republic, and citizen survived. The infrastructure they created influenced cities for centuries. The tombstones along the ancient road still carry messages from people who lived thousands of years ago. People who wanted to be remembered. And somehow, they were. Because you're still here, still listening, still walking through their city in your imagination. So the next time you hear someone say, life in ancient Rome was simple, remember your day, the fifth-floor apartment, the chamber pot, the soldier, the Colosseum, the baths, the underground temple, and that dark walk home. Because if you had actually lived in Rome, the biggest challenge wouldn't have been conquering an empire. It would have been waking up every morning and making sure you were still alive by midnight. That was Rome. And tomorrow, you have to do it all over again. If you find the video interesting, don't forget to like and subscribe.